We're now just 27 days away from Ahsoka, and with the news cycle being a bit quiet, we have a few tidbits, but also, we're gonna focus on one of my favourite scenes from Star Wars Rebels concerning Obi-Wan and Order 66, and then we'll do some Ahsoka speculation. I'm sure you're gonna love it. Enjoy. Lucasfilm just canonized a very important Jedi power we've only seen in Star Wars Legends, and this could have major implications. We've seen an increase in Jedi and Force sensitives who survived Order 66, but this might continue because Star Wars just reintroduced Jedi Hibernation Trance. This was seen in several Star Wars stories. A Jedi Master called Karuk survived a duel with General Grievous by entering a state of hibernation. He remained in that state until after Order 66, when Luke had already established a new Jedi Order, and it's now been reintroduced in canon in a much earlier time period, The High Republic issue number 11 by Kevin Scott. Now this comic's been out a while, but it's an appropriate time to talk about it with the upcoming Ahsoka show, given the fact its canonized status gives a green light to future Order 66 survivors, once we haven't met yet. We know in the Ahsoka show, we're going to be introduced to Baylan and Shin, two former Jedi who survived the Purge as well, and we might see some more survivors who survived by going into a trance. The Ahsoka show takes place over 2 decades after Project Nightfall. That's a long time to be in hiding, but it's possible. Now we're going to stay on the subject of Order 66. I've been rewatching Star Wars Rebels in preparation for Ahsoka, which is now so close, but I want to talk about something which is very unrelated to Ahsoka and everything to do with the New Republic. I want to talk about Obi-Wan's holocron message, the one that is teased in Revenge of the Sith, in the security logging scene, but that was built upon in Rebels, and we got to hear the full transmission by Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now the reason I bring this up is that very few people really appreciate just how tragic this message was, because in a way, Obi-Wan was so composed in delivering it. One of the worst messages, one of the most nightmarish messages that any Jedi could imagine. Imagine hearing it, being off-world, away from Coruscant, being a surviving Jedi, and you're told the home you've known, the center of your order, the Jedi Order is gone. And some have noted this is very much representative of the reality of when a coup overthrows democracy and installs an autocratic fascist regime, in this case, Palpatine's regime, the Empire. Your everyday life as you know it is gone, and you're now left in fear. And I've got to say, from the standpoint of Star Wars, his message saved so many. Now when I said I wished it was in the Kenobi show, it was kind of alluded to with Nari. The message of hope at the end of the transmission, when Obi-Wan talks about one day there's going to be a new hope, and that they should persevere, inspired Nari to go and find him. Ultimately, of course, it was his downfall. But it really was a tragic state of affairs, and doubly so for Obi-Wan, because in the same scene, he finds out his apprentice, his best friend and basically brother, had turned to the dark side. As Yoda says, the boy you trained, gone he is, consumed by Darth Vader. So imagine being off-world, and you're a Jedi and you hear this message. Imagine how shaken you'd be, realizing what you'd fought for during the Clone Wars, fighting for the Republic, and the Jedi Order was taken from you. The uncertainty of the situation, what is the scope of the situation, and then getting a signal telling you to not return to the temple. And I have seen a lot of fan criticism about this speech, saying he's not frantic, how it doesn't convey to a great extent a warning sign, a dire message. Some say it's too flowery, but you've got to remember Obi-Wan's character. He was very succinct and compassionate. The way he conveys this, the way James Arnold Taylor delivered this speech, is very much in line with the vision that George Lucas had for this character. It was very Kenobi-esque to say it in this way, to send out a horrific message, but one that ends with hope. And again, this succinctly connects episodes 3 and 4, because of course the new hope is Luke. Obi-Wan says, I regret to report that both our Jedi Order and the Republic have fallen, with the dark shadow of the Empire rising to take their place. This message is a warning and reminder for any surviving Jedi. Trust in the Force. And this is brilliantly written because it's very much what Qui-Gon would have said. Obi-Wan's master, the one originally destined to train the Chosen One, Anakin. But of course, Qui-Gon died, and many fans think that if Qui-Gon survived, Anakin would never have turned to the dark side. But I digress. Obi-Wan then says, do not return to the temple. That time has passed. And this sets a line in the sand, marking the end of an era, because he then says, our future is uncertain. And then he prophesies something absolutely true. we will each be challenged, our trust, our faith, our friendships, but we must persevere, and in time, a new hope will emerge. May the Force be with you, always. And this message of hope, and I do say it's unrelated to the Ahsoka show because I don't really see how the two connect. Of course, if they want to do early Ahsoka when she finds out Obi-Wan is alive, and that's another big question, did Ahsoka know that Obi-Wan survived? During the Ahsoka show, he's a Force ghost, but they had so many memories during the Clone Wars, so afterwards, did she ever find out? Well, according to the Ahsoka novel, the answer is no. She attempts to search for familiar Force presences and feels nobody. And some say that was the point, Obi-Wan bringing Luke to Tatooine, isolating himself, and just Bail and Yoda know about it. No one else does after the events of Polis Massa. I guess the question is, because Bail Organa and Ahsoka were friends, did he tell her that Obi-Wan was alive? Maybe another missed opportunity in the Obi-Wan show, although based on what the story was, that might have been out of place. In the Ahsoka show, if we do get Anakin's Force Ghost, which I do think is a very likely possibility, hopefully we do see Obi-Wan's Force Ghost as well, if they want to step on Alec Guinness's legacy of course, unless it's Ewan McGregor in Clone Wars flashbacks. On the one hand, you could so easily have an Ahsoka show without him, but on the other, he was so important to her journey. Not to mention, she knows Luke, and Luke was briefly trained by Obi-Wan, who also watched him from afar on Tatooine as he grew up. And some say Ezra might have told her. I think there's a reason it's not been explicitly addressed. And keep in mind, based on current rumours for the Ahsoka show, another way Obi-Wan could show up, or at least be referenced, is in the alternate Mustafar scene. Back in 2022, there was a rumour stating that we might see Ahsoka fight Anakin in a world between worlds or alternate dream sequence in some way, shape or form. It's going to be Ahsoka fighting Anakin, almost like a what if. In that scenario, Ahsoka replaces Obi-Wan, and in that way, he might be referenced. And so if it's a dream sequence, they might show both Obi-Wan and Ahsoka back and forth, kind of like a what actually happened versus a what if. And this could be using the world between worlds, just a fan theory. And so finally, in other Ahsoka news, there is a massive hint in the official final trailer for this show that indicates what's going to come at the end. The live-action Purrgil. I think these look absolutely spectacular, and we see Ahsoka and Sabine hurling towards them. Now, of course, in Star Wars Rebels, Ezra has a very deep connection to them in the Force, one which I think Grogu shares as well, but it seems to hint that Ahsoka and Sabine are successful in finding Ezra, because after the Rebels finale we thought that was going to be the main mission, but I now suspect finding Ezra is just the start. They're setting up something bigger. Finding Ezra is step one. It's the setup for what Thrawn's doing, and the implications on the New Republic, and of course, what Ezra's learned in his time apart from Thrawn and the rest, because according to early rumours, Ezra's been separated from Thrawn for a long time. He's in a different part of the galaxy. So these Purrgil are a big hint that they are going to be successful in their search, but that is just the beginning. I can't imagine this just being a one and done series. I think part 2 is Dave Filoni's Star Wars movie, and I can imagine Thrawn's got a few surprises for the inevitable massive battle coming up. There are so many cool aspects of this show, different bad guys, and the way they come together is not clear at this stage, and we have so many questions with no answers, but we're gonna get them. But I love that going into a Star Wars show. I love not knowing where it's gonna take us. But as I mentioned at the start of this video, I've been doing a Rebels rewatch. I recommend this to everyone. Such amazing characters about to be developed further. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and if you want more videos not found here on YouTube, then click the link down there in the description, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you, always.